everybody, and welcome to the Windy City. It's the first game of a three-game set at historic Wrigley Field. The Marlins and the Chicago Cubs, how they have fixed up the area around this beautiful old ballpark. And oh, by the way, guess who's back? Starlin Castro on the anniversary of his big league debut. The Marlins look to keep things rolling. They have played some terrific baseball as of late. The Cubs, well, not so much, but the Cubs, I think we all can agree, will eventually pick things up. More on the Cubbies in just a sec. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. So again, the Marlins are playing some great baseball right now. It's been all around the pitching for the most part, and guess who they've got going tonight? The guy with the best ERA among qualified pitchers in the major leagues, Jarlin Garcia.
Yeah, Harlan's been in a great spot since entering the rotation. Heck, he's been great all season long. Let's be honest with ourselves. When you got an ERA just over 1, you are one of the best in the game. You see the numbers right there. Fastball, changeup has been outstanding. The slider's right there. He's throwing pitches. He's getting strikes. He's getting ahead. And you know what? You mentioned it. The Cubs are struggling right now. This is a tremendous opportunity for the Marlins to come in and snatch game 1 right here with Jarlin on the mound tonight.
He, of course, has faced the Chicago Cubs already, albeit in relief in that opening series to start the 2018 season. Back then, these two teams split a couple of games, but in the recent past here for the Chicago Cubs, they have now lost 5 in a row, including back-to-back walk-offs at the hands of the Cardinals.
And the number one culprit's the offense is playing into Jarlin Garcia's hands. Listen, they're only hitting just a tick above 200 over their last 11 ball games. In fact, they've only scored 27 runs over their last 11. So, I mean, you see what they're dealing with right now, Paul. And one other thing that's going on, they got absolutely walked off last night one of the worst ways possible. In fact, walked off the last 2 ball games by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, a lot of these guys probably didn't settle into their beds back here until about 4 or 5 a.m. with that late Sunday night game ending, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, we start a 3-game set here at Wrigley Field. Coming up, the first pitch, Marlins and Cubs, right after the break. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by W.B. Mason. Who but W.B. Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. the Lincoln Spring Sales Event. Drive into spring in a new Lincoln. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota, let's go places. Nice night here in Chicago to open up a 3-game set. Marlins and the Cubs here at Wrigley Field. This is the last 3 games of the season series, by the way. JT Realmuto not a part of the first series that opened up the 2018 season. However, he will open up tonight's game once again back in the top spot. And Starlin Castro is back on the 8-year anniversary of his Major League debut. Day in which he hit his first big league home run back in Chicago. Said it's always nice to be back here. He is in the number 3 spot. And Brian Anderson once again out in right field. We'll talk about how he needs to adjust in one of the more difficult outfields, never mind right fields, but outfields in Major League Baseball. Kyle Hendricks is on the bump, 2-2 on the season with a 3.19 ERA. He gets the start tonight. He's already faced the Marlins once this year.
Yeah, making his 7th start of the season. He's got 5 career starts against the Marlins. Lefties and righties about the same, 218, 226 batting average against. One thing that stands out, he has given up 8 home runs this year, and certainly stands out here at Wrigley Field. He's pitched very, very well. See the 3.19 ERA, and this was his last time versus the Marlins at the beginning of the year, that opening series in which the Marlins and Cubs split the 4-game series, so a solid 6 innings. He triggered the 17-inning game, so he is partly to blame. That's right. We'll talk to him about it tomorrow.
Take it up with him mañana. All right, so again, a beautiful night, no question about it, and this here is the defense behind him.
Yeah, the defense brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Ian Happ gets the start in left field, Almora Jr. in center, Zobrist in right, Bryant, Russell, Baez, Caratini at first base, Contreras behind the plate, Hendricks on the mound.
So just about set and ready to roll here as the Marlins look to keep things going. They have won 8 of 11 and 4 straight series underway here at Wrigley Field, and it's outside to JT Realmuto. 2 for 4 in yesterday's ball game, the win over the Cincinnati Reds. Couple of runs scored, couple of walks. And he takes low for ball 2. And skipper Don Mattingly having to deal with the sun in the lovely new dugouts, by the way. They have really upgraded a number of things around this ballpark in the last few years. There's a look at that sun kind of peeking through. I don't know, what do you have, maybe 15, 20 minutes until that's no longer an issue? Probably more so at first base, if anything. And Hendricks finally throws a strike, now 3-1.
Well, the Marlins tonight would ideally like to make Hendricks work, get him out early.
Right center field and hit deep. Way back on the track to make the catch is Albert Almora Jr. for the first out.
Let's go ahead and give you the AutoNation scouting report of Kyle Hendricks for tonight's ball game. Sweet Home Chicago. Hendricks 2.18 ERA in 3 starts at Wrigley Field. In 2018, he's allowed 5 earned runs. Get this, all solo homers. He's pitched very well here. Hitters only hitting 176 against him. Now, Marlins memories. 5 starts, I mentioned it a little while ago, a 1.35 ERA. Now, the Marlins have got to find a way to score a run against him. He's made 2 starts here at Wrigley Field against the Marlins. No earned runs, hasn't even given up a run yet. Tonight, that cut changeup that he throws is one of the most lethal changeups in all of baseball, and he is going to use it a lot. Now it cuts a little bit. Hitters hitting 106 against the pitch.
A ball and no strikes to Martin Prado. Prado 0 for 6 with a run scored in yesterday's ball game. 1 for 13 in the series against the Cincinnati Reds.
Now for Hendricks, going up against a right-handed batter, ideally he likes to lead in with the sinker and set up his changeup. For the lefties, it's a little combination of sinkers and four-seam fastballs along with that great changeup. Occasionally you'll see a big curveball. He has one as well. Doesn't throw it very hard. It's only about 73 miles an hour and doesn't throw it often.
Coming off a start against the Colorado Rockies where he gave up 3 solo home runs in a 3-1 defeat. This one lined out to right field, going to stay up for Ben Zobrist. And there are two away here in the first.
Well, I'll tell you what, these two balls have been hit hard, and it's a good approach that they've got going on. You see Starlin Castro making his way to the batter's box.
On the 8-year anniversary of his big league debut and a day or two after his 100th career home run. What a day he had. Made the big leagues look fairly easy with 6 RBIs.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of enthusiasm around Chicago for the debut of Starlin Castro. He is not disappointed. I know that a lot of people have put a lot of expectations on his career, but he's been really, really good. Been to the All-Star game 4 times. He's done a few different things, and he's certainly been a nice addition to the Marlins lineup.
5 for 17 in the series to open the season. As he takes low, a ball and a strike. 2 for 4 in yesterday's ball game. 4 for 11 in the series against the Cincinnati Reds. So he's been swinging a hot bat. The numbers here at Wrigley Field, and just under 450 career games. Straight back, a ball and 2 strikes.
Had a good conversation, Marlins hitting coach Frank Menachino, about the approach tonight. Wanted to stay up the middle, go the other way. I told you the numbers that Hendricks has got in his 5 career starts against the Marlins. I said, well, what do you do when a guy's got the, these strong numbers against you? He says, listen, we got to let the ball travel. We've got to defend against that changeup and stay through the middle. You try to let the ball get a little bit deeper. Remember, Hendricks doesn't possess a tremendous amount of velocity. He's only throwing 87, 88 miles an hour, even on the sinker. The changeup's going to be right around 80. So as a hitter, you can let that ball get just a little bit deeper so you have some good pitch recognition. The changeup, it will cut and fall off the table a little bit. Tough pitch.
1 and 2, line softly out to right center field. Zobrist coming in to make a sliding catch. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Kyle Hendricks. We'll see the big league's ERA leader, Harlan Garcia, when we come back to Wrigley. Hollinsworth, the 1-2-3 top of the inning for Kyle Hendricks, and now Harlan Garcia gets to face the Chicago Cubs, a team that right now is averaging 4.7 runs per game. That's 3rd in the National League, but that's kind of the big picture of the entire season for the Chicago Cubs. As of late, they have not been playing their best brand of baseball. They were not successful with runners in scoring position in their recently completed sweep at the hands of the St. Louis Cardinals. They hit 138 with runners in scoring position, so they have been looking for the big hit, and I'm sure that the Cubs are hoping to get right at some point. And again, looking at the backs of the baseball cards, you'd figure it's going to happen eventually, but it may be tough against Harlan Garcia, who has been nothing short of dominant in his time both in the rotation and throughout this 2018 season. He has been superb. Albert Almora Jr. lines one foul, and it's 0-2.
23 innings pitched, 2 earned runs allowed.
think that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Making his 5th start of the season, 1-0 with a 1.09 ERA. Listen, there's a lot of things you can run out here and be excited about. I got to be honest, his whip is fantastic. His runners, how about this? This is where I'll go tonight. Runners in scoring position against Harlan Garcia are hitting a soft 0.48.
Is there a hard hit?
Yeah, well, I'm guessing the one might have been a hard hit ball, but 136 batting average against lefties. 0.95, right? He's 146. 80 pitches his last time out versus Philly. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. Get this, and I think this will put in. I believe it will bring some relevance to what he's done. Since 1980, Harlan Garcia has the 5th lowest ERA in his first 4 starts. 0.78. We'll just start there. We need to say the 0, right? You know who's in first place? Fernando Mania. Yeah, Fernando Valenzuela. That's like, so what are we talking about here? Harlan Garcia, yeah, he's in that category right now. Fly ball to right. Out number 1 in the first.
Now again, Garcia faced the Chicago Cubs, all part of that 17-inning ball game on March 30th, 2nd game of the season. I mean, that's a good start. The only thing is he started in the 10th inning, but 6 innings, 1 hit.
But that led to the next start.
You're right.
Which was Harlan. Yeah, we talked to Mike Hill yesterday. And that's what I asked him. I'm like, did that not accelerate the process? How could it? And he said, absolutely. This is what we're all about. Harlan stepped into a position, took the ball, went 6 innings. We're like, he made a start. He's ready. We don't need to send him back down, because remember, that was originally the plan.
Right.
Ideally, he was going to go back to the minor leagues, get a few starts, work up the pitch count, and then come back. He's never left.
No, he hasn't. He had that 6 innings out of the bullpen. He had another 4-inning outing out of the bullpen, and then it's been starts ever since, and it's been dominance ever since, as he delivers a strike to Ben Zobrist, 2 balls and 1 strike. And one of the many things that has helped him be so comfortable on the mound, be so good on the mound, with that fly ball out for Albert Almora Jr., hitters leading off an inning against Garcia are now 3 for 31. So it's almost like a 2-out inning,
right,
for the opponents.
Well, there's a long, lengthy conversation and understanding why getting that leadoff hitter is so important. But when you do it, you get good results, because even if you make some trouble for yourself with the next few hitters, you're in a position where you see Ben Zobrist take the walk. You're still 1 pitch away from a ground ball double play most of the time, and where if you finally do get through it, it's still a lot harder for a team to score a run. Let's give you the starting defense for the Marlins tonight, brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Dietrich getting the start in left field tonight. Maven in center field. Anderson in right. Prado, Rojas, Castro, and Bohr. JT Realmuto behind the plate for Harlan Garcia.
So after the walk, in steps Chris Bryant. On a 6-game hit streak for the Chicago Cubs. Takes a called strike on the inside corner. 3 for 16 on their 3-game road trip, the 3-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Hit a home run in last night's ball game, a long one in the 440-foot range.
Yeah, it was to the inside part of the plate. The one thing that I was thinking about, Brian, he had a couple hits in that Cardinals series that were hit hard. Took high velocity on the inner third and was able to keep it fair. Very good numbers against lefties this year. 414 batting average with a 1.245 OPS. That's big time stuff.
'11th in the National League with an on-base percentage a shade under 400. 6 homers and 19 RBIs in his career against the Marlins. And this one is ripped out to deep left field, and that one is gone. A 2-run home run for Chris Bryant, and an early 2-0 lead for Chicago.
Well, Chris Bryant, one of the hottest Cubs hitters. We talked about the slumping offense. We probably should have prefaced it and excluded this man. Last 4 hits have all been extra base hits. You mentioned the home run that he hit yesterday up into, what was it, the upper deck in St. Louis. Again, being able to hit the ball at the top of the zone, and you're going to see it right here. Harlan Garcia missed his spot. That was supposed to be low and in. He missed up and away. If you have any doubt whether Chris Bryant can handle a pitch above his hands, there's your answer.
Javier Baez fouls one back, 0-1. Well, 15 pitches into this ball game, 14 really, but you know what I mean. Already, Harlan Garcia has surrendered the most runs that he has given up as a starter in a single ball game. Low to Baez, 1-1.
Well, the two guys in this lineup that you circle and you say to yourself before the game starts, don't let them beat you. One's already done it. It would have been Bryant and Baez, two hottest hitters that the Cubs have. Baez went deep in the 14th inning last night to give the Cubs the lead, only to watch their former teammate Dexter Fowler hit a two-run homer for the St. Louis Cardinals in the win, part of those walk-offs. So many times we talk about location in the first inning for starters as they settle in. Look where JT Realmuto sets up, and look where this pitch ends up. Again, above the hands, out over the plate, and extension from Chris Bryant, a hot hitter right now. JT knows he missed his spot.
Prado at third, and Baez is retired for the second out. Well, that's now 5 home runs for Chris Bryant. 3 of them have come with 2 strikes. Early 2-0 lead for the Chicago Cubs. Didn't take long for Bryant to extend his hit streak to now 7 games. And here's Wilson Contreras behind the dish tonight. No Anthony Rizzo in the starting lineup. Rizzo is off to a rough start. Sounds like he's healthy and everything, just hasn't been able to get the bat going. Tough lefty on the mound. Late night getting in, perhaps a good night for Parkland, Florida native Anthony Rizzo to get the night off. This is Cameron Maybin out in center field, and he'll put away that line drive off the bat of Contreras. A 2-run homer for Bryant. 2-0 Cubs. Well, coming up May 12th when the Braves are in town, Millennium Falcon hat for everybody with a special ticket package purchase. In limited edition Star Wars night poster. We got post-game fireworks. Log on to marlins.com/Star Wars and check out more information. And that poor guy, every time we show that poor guy gets whacked right in the face with that lightsaber. He should be used to it by now. 2-0 the score, thanks to a 2-run home run from Chris Bryant. So a little work to do for the Marlins. Plenty of time to do with those. We go to the top of the second inning. Justin Bour, Brian Anderson, and Derek Dietrich
against Kyle Hendricks, whose first pitch to Bohr is in there for a called strike.
JB has been heating up. You see the numbers: 240 batting average, 6 homers, 15 RBIs. Over his last 21 games, 6 homers, 13 RBIs, and the batting average climbing. Consistently putting together good at bats. 1 for 4 yesterday. Also had a walk.
Well, he's getting on base nearly every night. He's reached base safely in 18 of his last 21 games. Now 2 balls and 1 strike. Originally drafted by the Cubs way back in 2009. And part of that Rule 5 draft a few years later over to the Marlins.
That's a pretty good look at the Hendricks changeup. You saw it on the 2-1 pitch. You have to be so disciplined, try to let that ball travel. It is so hard to lay off. It almost disappears as it falls to the bottom of the zone.
2-2. That one's jolted to right field. Back is Zobrist to leap and make the catch. Well, Zobrist has been busy out there in right field.
My goodness. I don't like the way this game's starting for the Marlins, but I'll tell you what, Ben Zobrist has been on his game tonight. I've got 3 consecutive line drive outs to Ben Zobrist in this scorebook. Are you kidding me? Rocket off the bat of Justin Bourne. It's going to be your Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. Good read. Tough place to do it. And working around that little cutout that you've got in right field. You've also got it in left where the wall kind of jets out towards the corner.
And outside to Brian Anderson.
I'll tell you what, his defensive WAR has gone up a whole point. First 4 outs of this ball game.
Is that for sure?
Well, that's just me. I'm guessing at the number, but I mean, that's 3 consecutive line drive catches that he's made in right field.
Because I was going to say, if you know how to figure out the formula for WAR, then we should be eating lunch today, like every day, so you can pass that knowledge on to me, so I could figure it out.
No, we don't figure it out. I'm guessing, but you know what?
I hear you. Yes, terrific defensive plays.
Enough of that guy.
Ball and 2 strikes to Brian Anderson, who was 0 for 3 yesterday, but had a couple of walks and sends one out to center field, right at Almora Jr. 2 away. It sounds as though Kyle Hendricks stayed with the team last night. In that game, 14 innings. They had an hour or so worth of rain delays. Got over extremely late. They didn't get back here to Chicago, even though it was something of a short flight from St. Louis. Probably getting to their houses and in their beds around 4 a.m. or something. Didn't take batting practice today, as you would probably expect. A quick night's sleep for Kyle Hendricks, and so far 5 up, 5 down as he misses low to Derek Dietrich.
Well, the Marlins will not complain. They believe the approach will work, and so far it has. I know it hasn't translated into a hit, but they are hitting the ball hard off Hendricks.
Grounded right side. This is Baez. And that is another 3 up, 3 down inning for Hendricks. Through an inning and a half. 2-0 Cubs. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth back with you for the bottom of the second inning here at Wrigley Field. A couple of runs in the bottom of the first. A Chris Bryant two-run home run as Victor Caratini grounds one just wide of the third base bag. 0-1. 6, 7, and 8 due up for the Cubs in the second. Caratini followed by Addison Russell and Ian Happ.
Well, Caratini's been swinging the bat, 11 for his last 13 over 14 games. Joe Madden trying to get some of the hotter bats into this Cubs lineup. It's a good time to do it. He mentioned getting in early this morning. This is a classic reserve game. I've seen it a million times. I've been this guy. You'll be starting tomorrow, just so you know. Oh, really, Coach? All right, you got it.
Thanks, Skip. Whoa, right back up the middle and past the dive of Starlin Castro. So Caratini stays hot with a sharply hit ball back through the box.
Yeah, good to see Harlan get out of the way of this. This is a rocket off the bat, almost right back at his head. He doesn't get out of the way. My goodness. Oof.
Yeah, you take a deep breath that it didn't get any piece of Harlan Garcia, because that would have got him square. Thank goodness. And a strike to Addison Russell. Russell had a good series against the Marlins, 5 for 14. Back to open up the season. 3 for 9 in the series against the St. Louis Cardinals.
You mentioned the Cubs losers of 5 straight. They come in chasing the St. Louis Cardinals, the 3.5 games behind them in National League Central. 8-6 at Wrigley Field. I'm talking to a few people around here. There's no doubt the cold temperatures have factored into the slow offense. You know, the pitching's been particularly good. Relievers more than the starters. See the standings. The offense hasn't quite got in gear yet. A few hot hitters up and down this Cubs lineup, but on the whole, they've struggled. OPS 720, that's 16th in Major League Baseball. Been averaging about 4.7 runs per game, but they have some big offensive outputs early in the season. In fact, over their last 11 games, they only scored 27 runs.
Well, you mentioned the cold temperatures. The average temperature for Cubs home games has been 55 degrees, the 4th coldest among all National League teams at home this season, as Russell goes down looking. First strikeout of the night for Garcia.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
And in steps Ian Happ. Of course, Ian Happ made a little bit of baseball history back on opening day when he homered on the first pitch of the Major League Baseball season. First to do that since Dwight Evans in 1986. But outside of that, a few strikeouts.
Well, it was, you know, our first game together and your first pitch, and I looked over at you and I was like, "Are you ready now?" And you were like, "Wait, what just happened?"
It was somewhat comical. You know, you're all geared up. It's a a new gig for me. It's
probably a little nervous. Has some butterflies, right?
To settle in. Here we go, and
bam,
gone. Okay, great.
Yeah, gotcha.
But he had what, 5 leadoff home runs in the spring?
Well, we talked about it. In fact, we were put on point. We talked to people with the Cubs, and the Cubs said, "Watch out for Ian Happ. He's jumping on everybody's first pitch." Hello.
Look at that. First swing, jumping on the first offering from Jose Urena. That's just, I mean, that's good preparation right there, the sign. I mean,
you just get thrown to the wolves, to the fire.
Absolutely. And Happ goes down swinging for the second out here in inning number 2.
Yeah, back-to-back strikeouts. Base hit by Caratini back through the box. Able to work in the slider. It's really starting to show up. In fact, the last 2 pitches, sliders for strikeouts against right-handed batters.
And now Kyle Hendricks with 1 on and 2 out. Takes a called strike. Well, to call a 2-run deficit in the 2nd inning of a game adversity is a bit of a stretch. I understand that, but it's the first bit of adversity that I can remember for Harlan Garcia, because he's been so sharp, and either it's been a tight game or a run here or there. He's done an amazing job, and very well could the rest of the night keep this team in the game, and that's been his goal and his mindset.
Yeah, I don't think he's feeling it. I mean, listen, nobody goes out and asks for perfection. It's not going to happen. You know, every now and again you get close, right? And then every now and again we see one. But on the whole, you're just going out there to do your job. And certainly keeping this score where it is, you're hoping that your team responds. Remember, we told you, Marlins have faced Hendricks twice at Wrigley Field. They're yet to score a run. So you got to feel like tonight the margin is probably a little bit closer, you know, a little tighter.
That went off the netting behind home plate. And still a ball and 2 strikes to Hendricks.
On the flip side of this, the Cubs are hoping that Hendricks can go a long time in this ball game, get a lot of outs and pile up some innings, because their bullpen has been taxed. In a long series in St. Louis, long night, just about everybody, in fact, everybody but Strop, I believe, pitched last night for the Chicago Cubs. So they're hoping they get a long, lengthy start from Hendricks.
Yeah, Lester went 5 1/3, and that game went 14 as Hendricks grounds 1 to short, to second for the fielders, for the Force rather, through 2-0. Marlins and Cubs 2-0 Chicago as we go to the top of the 3rd. Let's go downstairs to Craig Minervini.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. It was a big press conference here before the game. Starlin Castro remembering his time here in Chicago 8 years ago to the day he debuted with the Cubs.
What's it like coming back here?
It's always gonna be good to go back to Wrigley. You know, like I always say, that's the team that give me the opportunity to be a professional baseball player and the opportunity to play in the big league. I think for me it's always also to come here.
Starlin said he was sad that he wasn't part of the Cubs when they won the World Series, but very happy for many of his teammates. He's playing tonight in his 448th game here at Wrigley Field. He had 28 homers and batted to .278 coming into the season, and he is standing just in time for our story. I mean, perfectly timed, because we're talking about you, so that's good timing. Starlin Castro. The guy, he's got the best timing I've ever seen here at Wrigley Field.
I mean, he's getting plenty of face time here. He needs a little bit more.
He doesn't even know it.
Thank you, Craig. First pitch to Cameron Maben is in there for a called strike. Maben, Rojas, and Garcia here in the top of the 3rd. Of course, this is a special ballpark. There's no question about it. And I know that when he broke into the league 8 years ago, this place had a much different feel, a different look.
Well, that's a fact.
Scoreboards out there were not a part of it. Obviously, some things that the fans can't see. The Cubs clubhouse is, I mean, it's the size of a hotel, frankly, as Maben strikes out for the first out here in the third. The dugouts are brand new here in 2018 as well. So they've done a lot of different things in and around this ballpark to freshen it up because there is so much history in this yard.
Well, it needed some updating. It was only a few years ago where here in Chicago they were deciding whether they were going to make the adjustments that you just talked about, the improvements, or they were going to move to Rosemont. And they decided to stay here, and I think it was the right decision in the long run. There's certainly going back and forth as they tried to pick the direction, but this stadium was weathered. It needed some updating, whether it was the dugouts, whether it was the bleachers, the TVs. There's still things. I'm not complaining about our digs, but
they're a little snug, but that's okay. We're in a big league booth, and that's really all that matters, and we could be doing real jobs for a living. I know that. Miguel Rojas, a base hit to right field.
Don't be offended when I push you out of the way with my elbows. Miguel Rojas gets the Marlins on the board. First hit of the ball game. Nice job staying inside the baseball. As we told you, the scouting report and the idea, the game plan going into tonight, pull the hands through and go the other way. Allow the ball to travel. Nice job by Rojas. Some good swings. First time through the lineup.
First hit, first base runner for the Marlins. But as Todd mentioned, not the first hard hit ball against Hendricks. They just haven't found much grass as Garcia lays down the bunt right back to Hendricks. And the sacrifice works. So Rojas to second base for JT Realmuto, back to the top of the lineup against Hendricks. First of 3 tonight. Middle game tomorrow. Jose Urena and Yu Darvish, the starting pitching matchup. Marlins live pregame show starts 7:30 Eastern time. First pitch a little after 8 p.m. Eastern time. Right here on Fox Sports Florida. Realmuto out to right field. Toward the line is Zobrist to put that one away for the final out. We're through 2.5. One base runner so far for the Marlins, down 2-0. Welcome back to Chicago. Some Marlins fans in town. Yes, hello. That's right. Go Marlins. It's a 2-0 deficit, though, for Miami as we go to the bottom of the third inning. Top of the order due up for the Cubs. Albert Almora Jr., Ben Zobrist, and Chris Bryant against Harlan Garcia. Let's go back a couple of moments. Should apologize. Yu Darvish will not be starting tomorrow's game because the Chicago Cubs, moments ago, in fact, just placed him on the 10-day disabled list with a virus. So that's retroactive to May 4th. So no Yu Darvish against Jose Urena tomorrow. Almora flew out to right field back in the first inning. A 2-run first for Chicago.
Well, Almora, it's most of the starts against left-handed pitching. Former first rounder of the Cubs back in 2012.
Of which they have a few, by the way.
Yeah, you look down the list and it says first rounder a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. A number of rough seasons before being considered a favorite at the end of every spring to not only win their division, but perhaps represent the National League in the World Series.
Well, I think it's a pretty good reflection of where those expectations lie tonight, just in the attendance. Look around. It's Monday night, school night. Team from outside their division in town, and this place is packed. There's not an empty seat in the building. Well, maybe a few, but not many.
Ground ball short, and look at Rojas across the diamond. Boer's able to keep it in front of him, but he was off the bag, and we'll see how they score that one.
Well, an absolutely dynamite play by Rojas to come up with this. Rocket in the hole.
A base hit.
And it's going to be ruled a base hit. A little kick up slide right there as he makes his way. This throw offline. Justin Boer does a nice job of keeping the ball on the field of play. There's always a chance here at Wrigley Field. You see a ball get away, it's going to end up in the seats.
So now Ben Zobrist, who walked back in the first inning, came around to score on the Bryant home run. Takes ball one. Runner goes, and there's going to be a balk called on Garcia.
Yeah, that was a surrender right there by Garcia. He was not intending to go to first base. Almora took off, and then he decided to go to first base. Hoping to get away with one. Let's take another look. Yeah, see that? That's where he was going home, and Almora got a huge jump. He tried to stop it. The Cubs don't run much. Only 6 stolen bases on the season. Almora in motion will now be in scoring position with nobody out.
But again, this is a situation where Garcia has thrived as of late. As Todd mentioned before, an .048 batting average against with runners in scoring position. Tied for the 5th best mark among pitchers. Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. The Chicago Cubs have not taken many walks, but Zobrist took one back in the first as he pulls the bat back. 2 balls and no strikes.
Man, I'm glad we brought that up. Knowing the Cubs' way for the last few seasons, this is a bit alarming. You see the number there, and a bit surprising. Here's why. Over the last 3 seasons, the Chicago Cubs, we talk about their mode of operation, how they do things. They hit home runs. Everybody knows that. They're usually right around top 10. But they take their walks. On-base percentage is a huge part of what they do here at Wrigley Field and for the Chicago Cubs. Joe Madden preaches it. It's been the offensive philosophy. That number right there represents 27th place in Major League Baseball. It's an incredibly low number, obviously, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it out. So as I said, the last 3 seasons, first or second place, and now all the way down to where they're at. And you hear the rumblings and grumblings around here why the offense isn't doing more.
Well, one guy who's usually at or near the top of the team is Anthony Rizzo. Not in the lineup tonight, however, as Zobrist lines a base hit into right field. Anderson comes in and comes up throwing. It's cut off by Bohr, and Almora is satisfied with staying at third. First and third, nobody out for the Cubs. So Chris Bryant will dig in after crushing a home run his first time up.
Now, one of the few times this season we've seen Harlan Garcia miss location as badly as he did right there. That's supposed to be low and in, ends up and out over the plate. Lets Bryant get his arms extended for the early 2-0 lead. That's where it stays. Cubs looking for more with runners on first and third and nobody out.
And just to tie a bow on that walk note, I mentioned Anthony Rizzo again, not in the starting lineup tonight. He's only walked 4 times all year. He had 91 walks last year. And it's a a situation of follow the leader type with a guy like Anthony Rizzo, and you're right, they just have not been doing that.
Well, maybe we'll see. I mean, again, I'm not going to speak for or condemn Chili Davis, but they've got a new hitting coach, and I do wonder like how that's going to play long term. We'll ultimately see how it goes, but when you see a number as striking as that, it's hard not to notice. The one thing that and there's a good look at Chili Davis right there, very well respected hitting coach around baseball, brought into the organization to kind of help this group take the next step, get better offensively, and they have been good over the last 3 seasons. It's just can you get more out of your younger players? You don't stop developing, especially with this core. They're too young.
3 balls and no strikes to Chris Bryant. And in there for a called strike, says home plate umpire Lance Barksdale. Will Little, the umpire, at first. Ted Barrett, the crew chief, at second. Nick Lentz at third. Well, Joe Madden was recently quoted as saying, "We're just not hitting the ball like we can." 3-2 now to Bryant.
Yeah, and that's a fact. And again, you do wonder whether it's a bit of an overreaction. Great changeup, 3-1 pitch down in the zone. Chris Bryant not looking for a changeup in that spot, certainly looking for more and for up, certainly above the knees. The idea is that it has been cold around here. We've mentioned it's even chilly tonight. I mean, it's going to be in the 50s by the time this game ends.
Called strike 3. A big strikeout for Garcia.
How about hitting your spots, Harlan Garcia? Yeah, that's right. We'll give you the batting average with runners in the scoring position. This is a good first step to keeping that number where it's at. Down to the bottom of the zone one more time. Nice job by JT Realmuto as well, bringing this back up. Watch as it crosses the plate. He does it so fast, almost even in slow motion. Here's a good look. Watch JT's glove. Come on back up. Yes, sir. That's how you steal a strike.
Well, a big first out of the inning. Double play still in order, but not an easy out. And Javier Baez inside, a ball and no strikes. Baez grounded out to Prado at third back in the first inning.
Well, he's tied for the National League lead, 29 RBIs.
A wide margin ahead of his teammates. Next highest RBI total is 17 for the Chicago Cubs. That's why Baez in the cleanup spot.
Be really careful with Baez. 21 of his 34 hits have gone for extra bases. He does not get cheated.
Wow.
Some of my best analysis.
Surprised the helmet stayed on. And his right arm, for that matter.
There's all sorts of phrases that coming out of your shoes down to a knee. I mean, my goodness, does not get cheated, does he?
But when he connects, they tend to go a long way. This one out to straightaway center field. Maben is back. He's looking up, and that one is gone. A 3-run home run for Javier Baez, his 10th, as the Cubs open up a 5-0 lead.
Well, Javi Baez, time and time again, has come through for the Chicago Cubs this season. He has been the big bat in the big spots. Even think back to last night in the 14th inning, he had a big home run. Well, again, elevation. Harlan Garcia is going to go back and look at tape, and he's going to say, I missed at the top of the zone 2 times to 2 guys in this lineup I did not want to do that to. Javi Baez and Chris Bryant. The gap has now widened to 5.
And a strike to Wilson Contreras, who lined out to center field back in the 1st inning. Well, a couple of big home runs tonight, one for Bryant and one for Baez, in a 5-0 lead for Chicago. Well, we're so accustomed to seeing Harlan Garcia be nearly unhittable that he was bound at some point to look human at some point.
Sure.
And tonight, against 2 guys who are certainly big-time bats, not only on this team but in the National League, it's not out of the realm of possibility that it could have happened tonight the way that it did.
Big time bats, hot bats. I mean, that's
too.
just it. I mean, the mistakes came to the wrong guys in the wrong spots of a ball game. I mean, you look at where Baez is at right now. I mentioned it. He went deep in the 14th inning this morning. I mean, the wee hours of the morning. I mean, he has come up with the big hits for the Cubs of late. We've told you how much they've struggled offensively. Their pitching has kept them in it, and it's been really 2 guys, Bryant and Baez. That's why they're hitting 3rd and 4th. It wasn't too long ago, just going back to opening day, where we saw Baez struggling in South Florida. In fact, not getting a start in one of the 4 games and sitting at the bottom of the lineup. Since then, he's ripping the cover off the ball, and he's driving in runs like crazy. 32 RBIs. Keeps this up, he'll be at the All-Star game.
Contreras chops one to 3rd, backhanded there by Prado. And Contreras is retired for out number 2.
Burger, beer, and a ball game. Start the weekend off right with Modelo Burger and Beer Fridays. Enjoy this fantastic deal on May 11th when the Marlins take on the Braves at 7:10. Tickets start at just $30. Get your tickets at marlins.com/burger.
Here's Victor Caratini, led off the 2nd inning with a base hit, but was stranded. And he takes a called strike. Well, the Marlins have 2, 3, and 4 due up when they come to bat in the 4th inning. So Garcia's time at the plate, barring a rally, of course, wouldn't come up for a few. So let's just say that Don Mattingly lets him go another inning or 2. He's got a battle, and from that, there will be a learning experience, similar to the one that he had in Los Angeles when it was the middle innings and he was getting tired. Now it's one of those situations as Caratini dribbles one to 3rd, Prado over to 1st to get it. So again, we'll see how long Garcia goes and how he can bounce back. Another home run, 5-0. for the Marlins as we go to the top of the 4th inning. There you see Harlan Garcia in the background, giving up a couple of home runs tonight, one to Chris Bryant and the other to Javier Baez. Now he, of course, has not been the beneficiary of many runs so far this season. Our Toyota Inside Look shows you at a 2.45 run support average. If he's got an ERA of 109 coming in, that means on average it's a 2-1 ball game. Tonight, however, 5 runs on the board for the Chicago Cubs as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Homer Bailey at the top of that list. Bailey goes tonight, by the way, and at last check had already surrendered 3 home runs to the New York Mets. Speaking of home runs allowed, Kyle Hendricks was tied with Homer Bailey for the most home runs allowed in the National League at the start of play. But again, Bailey surrendering 3 to the New York Mets tonight. So Bailey now tops in the National League with 11 homers allowed. Chase Anderson of the Brewers at 10 as Prado grounds to Bryant. 1 away.
Well, for the Marlins, they're going to want to continue to just grind out at bats, try to put together something, see if they can't get a few guys on, maybe a big swing of the bat. Ball seems to be jumping out pretty well tonight. Sometimes you can get psyched out when you go up against the guy who's had your number.
Starlin Castro getting set with 1 out here. Jose Urena against, well, we're not quite sure who, because Yu Darvish placed on the disabled list. As Castro grounds 1 to short. Russell, strong throw, 2 away. And now a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
Again, Yu Darvish placed on the disabled list right around the start time of this ball game, so not very long ago. Para-influenza virus, retroactive to the 4th. So we'll certainly keep an eye and an ear as to who will start the ball game tomorrow for the Chicago Cubs. But whatever it was, whether it was the virus or whether it was mechanics or whether it was first year in a new city with a big contract, so far not so good for Yu Darvish. As Justin Bour lines 1 foul behind home plate. 0-2. Bour lined out to Zobrist back in the 2nd inning. The 1, a home run against Kyle Hendricks, but he comes up empty here. 3 up, 3 down. An 8-pitch inning in the 4th. It's 5-0. the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. Nice crisp night in Chicago, Wrigley Field. Very nice, the iconic marquee. The iconic scoreboard as well. Base logos here at Wrigley as Harlan Garcia is back out for the bottom of the 4th inning. Addison Russell, Ian Happ, and Kyle Hendricks due up. Russell struck out looking, one of 3 strikeouts tonight for Garcia. Now, what I was getting ready to say as Garcia got the ground ball to get out of the 3rd was he had that learning experience in Los Angeles when it was the middle innings of a tight ball game, trying to get himself out of a little bit of a jam, and Don Mattingly left him out there, and he was able to learn how to, as Don Mattingly put it, pitch when he's not at 100%, when he's get tired in the ball game, right? Now it's one of those situations where a guy will make, let's just say a pitcher makes 30 starts in a season. I've heard pitchers say you're going to have 10 where you've got perfect game stuff, and you've got 10 where you don't know where the ball is going, and then you've got 10 where you've got a battle. Now, I don't know which 10, the 2nd or the 3rd, that Garcia's in right now, but I'm sure that this is a bit of a learning experience for him to say, all right, I gave up some early runs, but how can I save the bullpen? Or how can I pitch deep in the ball game? Or how can I get right? How can I fix myself out there? And how can I grow?
Yeah, he continues to attack the strike zone first and foremost, but get the ball down. You see that secondary pitch sails up and away. It's part of the problem tonight is he's made some mistakes at the top of the zone that we have not seen him make before.
Chop down the 3rd baseline, but foul. This summer, the World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th only on Fox and FS1. So 3 balls and 2 strikes to Addison Russell. Next pitch will be number 70 for Harlan Garcia. And that's outside. He issues the free pass. The second one of those tonight. One on, nobody out here in the 4th.
Now, one other thing that stands out, Paul, talking about tonight's ball game, where Harlan Garcia is at. You mentioned it, getting the leadoff guy out. He did it in the 1st, failed to do it in the 2nd, 3rd, or now 4th. So he's been dealing with some trouble right out of the gate every inning.
Here's Ian Happ, struck out in his first at-bat, takes low here in the 4th. After the strikeout, Happ hitting .225 on the season for the Chicago Cubs. Check on Russell. He was 1 for 6 in the series against the St. Louis Cardinals. 3 for his last now 22 after the 2nd inning strikeout.
He's a little different hitter, right-handed. Plays to a little bit more contact traditionally. He's got much more power. In fact, remember when we showed you the home run to start the 2018 season for everybody, he did that left-handed.
Out to center field. Maben is back, looking up, and that one is gone. 3rd homer allowed tonight by Garcia. 7-0 Cubs.
Well, outside of Bryant's home run, most of these Cubs hitters have used the middle of the field and have gone the other way. And you're going to see it again. Ian Happ hitting right-handed, staying through the middle. Watch this swing. Pulls the knob through. This isn't out and around. He's not trying to pull this baseball. In fact, he's trying to go right back through the middle. Third home run for the Cubs tonight.
And another situation where it wasn't a ton. I think the home run to Baez was a little bit more, but another missed spot for Harlan Garcia. I think more so on the Bryant than the Baez missed spot, but either way, a missed spot leads to a home run as Hendricks grounds the first pitch foul wide of third.
And the other problem is we're not talking about solo home runs, Paul. We're talking about a 2-run homer, a 3-run homer, and a 2-run homer. And in 2 of the 3 instances, a walk preceded the home run. Go back to that first inning. Zobrist walked, Bryant homered. And here in the 4th, Russell walks, Happ homers. Cubs 4 for 8, runners in scoring position. We gave you the numbers on Harlan coming in, 0.48. Well, that has gone up.
So he's thrown 75 pitches. About half of them have been from the stretch, because as Todd mentioned before, only the first batter retired in an inning once tonight. That was in the first as Castro puts away the pop-up from Hendricks. 1 away. Well, after the home run, as Almora digs in, Juan Nieves went out to the mound to talk to Garcia. What do you think that conversation was about?
Just to calm him down just a little bit, much like we've discussed, talking about the next 15 or 20 pitches or so, what they're looking to get from Garcia as far as outs are concerned. I mean, this game's at 7-0, but you certainly don't want to make pitches that have no value. He's still trying to get outs. You can't allow your young starter to implode. Still have to continue to make pitches.
Well, he has been so good. Again, came into this ball game with the lowest ERA among qualified pitchers at 109 to begin the night. And at the moment has given up 7 earned in 3 1/3. And his ERA is at 2.72. So he's been so good that he could, afford a little bit of a blow up and still have some good numbers. Thing is, that's what's funny about the early part of the season. If he has this start or this type of outing early, now he's working for 4 or 5 starts to get the numbers down. But
the spot on command that we've ranted and raved about through his first 4 starts, just not here tonight. He's missed his spots multiple times.
lined out to Anderson in right field, right at him for out number 2. That'll bring up Ben Zobrist. He's reached twice, a walk and a single, and he's come around to score twice. Tyler Cloyd up for the Marlins. Back from the paternity list as Zobrist grounds one. Backhanded there by Rojas, and a strong throw. That'll end the 4th, but another home run has the Cubs up 7-0. The fifth inning here at Wrigley Field. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth. It's a 7-0 deficit for the Miami Marlins, as they'll have Brian Anderson, Derek Dietrich, and Cameron Maben due up against Kyle Hendricks, who has a sizable lead to work with, and he has had certainly some really good numbers, as we've documented, against the Marlins, but also very good in his career here at Wrigley Field. Coming into this one, a 2.46 career ERA, as Anderson sends one to deep right center field, way back onto the track, and it's Almora to make the catch. A bit of a basket catch on the track. Boy, he has had some highlight reel grabs this year, hasn't he? One away.
Yeah, they have a talented center fielder in Almora Jr. Very good athlete. He can catch just about anything that stays in a ballpark. What Marlins fans probably don't know is you see the 400 sign right there. This ballpark gets bigger as you make your way over to right. It's more like 420 to where this ball is hit. So Almora's got a little bit more room, able to make a big catch. Usually when the ball's in the air against Hendricks, you've got a chance for some big damage. He likes the ball on the ground, and in fact, actually had settled in here over the last couple of innings.
Oh, 1 to Derek Dietrich, misses low. This one is popped up left side, and that will reach the seats. That's the funny thing about this ballpark. If you look at it from our vantage point right behind home plate, we are kind of like directly behind the point of the backstop. That's the 400 marker out in center field. But as Todd mentioned, it's not dead center field. It's not directly behind second base, as you can see. It's to the left of Almora. You can see that it's a little bit off center, the backstop and home plate, as Dietrich rips one to right field. Zobrist will play this one off the wall. It'll be extra bases for Dietrich. Oh, 1 out double here in the fifth. And I found this out today as we were talking with Len Casper, who does TV play-by-play for the Cubs, and you guys were talking. I didn't realize that it's actually kind of shifted. The field has shifted.
Right.
And that's why again, the point behind home plate and the backstop is not directly behind the point of home plate.
It's a bit misleading. Like Almora Jr. right now in center field is playing almost directly behind second base, but you can tell that he's standing from our vantage point to the left of the 400 number that is on the bricks in center field.
And that 400 is right in line with what I keep talking about with the backstop. So, I mean, listen, the place has been around for however many years it's been here, well over 100. So, I mean, things have changed.
Been around here for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a new one, put it that way. No matter how much they try to fix it up, it's still a classic. There's no question about that. Even with the scoreboards, even with the new dugouts, the bullpens that are now hidden underneath the bleachers out in right and left field. Still one of the classics. Just kind of pops up in the middle of nowhere in a neighborhood. It's a beauty. 2 balls and a strike to Cameron Maben, who struck out back in the 3rd inning. One of a couple of strikeouts for Kyle Hendricks.
Now, if the Marlins are hoping to get back into this ball game, they're going to have to string together some good quality at bats. This is a classic example. Hendricks typically in this situation may go to the changeup, those secondary pitches down, prey on a hitter's eagerness to swing the bat. Everybody gets in the box against him. They know he does not possess tremendous velocity, only throws 87 to 88 miles an hour. That's on his sinker. It's a pretty good look at the sinker right off the outside corner.
I know we talked about this when Hendricks pitched against the Cubs, or rather against the Marlins back in the opening series, but there have been a lot of comparisons that I've heard between Hendricks and Greg Maddux, like a quote-unquote poor man's Greg Maddux. Now, we had this discussion before, and it's not so much like tippity top of his game, Greg Maddux, but more toward the end of it. I mean, listen, the guy had a great career.
Well, it's a feather in his cap. I mean, when I say that Kyle Hendricks has been doing this his entire career, and you look at the outstanding numbers he's putting up, I mean, as far as being compared to Greg Maddux.
Line drive base hit for Maben. And Dietrich will be held at third. A strong throw from right from Zobrist, and a good decision there by third base coach Freddie Gonzalez to hold up Dietrich.
Yeah, no reason to push the accelerator. It's the top of the 5th inning. They're down 7-0. You need base runners. Great swing of the bat by Cameron Maben. We talked about having that discipline, the willingness to stay inside the baseball. And he does. Drives it to right field. There was no chance that Dietrich was going to be sent. His run means nothing at this point.
So here is Miguel Rojas. J.B. Shuck moves into the on-deck circle. Figures to bat for Harlan Garcia. A chance here for the Marlins to dent the scoreboard.
Well, a chance to break through against Kyle Hendricks.
Well, they've hit the ball hard this inning. They've hit the ball hard throughout the night, in fact, but they have hit the ball hard in this inning alone. Brian Anderson's ball came off the bat at 103.5 miles an hour. That was a line out to center field. A heck of a play by Al Mora Jr. to track it down. Dietrich's double was at 103. And Maben with a sharply hit ball the other way.
I think back to the beginning of the ball game, we had a few lineouts. Balls that were well hit that did not fall. This game, listen, I'm not going to tell you 7-0's any different, but I feel like the Marlins could have scored 3 or 4 runs in this game already.
Chop to third. Bryant over to second and out. Baez had the stretch almost like a first baseman to make the play and get the out as Dietrich comes in to score. I'm not sure if he kept his foot on the bag or not, but you could see Maben kind of hold up for a moment.
Two hopper to Chris Bryant, backpedals twice, little drop step. You see Baez panicking to get the out at second base as the throw is wide. He's not holding the bag on that. You see him reach back at the last second to get it. The Marlins on the scoreboard.
And it will be J.B. Shuck, so the day is done for Harlan Garcia. With Rojas off of first, Shuck takes a called strike. Final line on Harlan: 4 innings, 6 hits, 7 runs. All of them earned, couple of walks, 3 strikeouts. And throwing behind the runner, Rojas is back. Another pickoff attempt for Wilson Contreras. Boy, oh boy, he'll do that once a night, won't he?
Well, he certainly shortens up the secondary lead of many a base runner. He loves to throw to bases.
One of the best arms behind the plate in Major League Baseball, and not afraid to show it off. And Shuck fouls it straight back, still 0-2.
And get a pretty good look at J.B. Shuck trying to foul off these number of changeups. It's 3 in a row.
Geico presents this day in Marlins history. May 7th, 1999. Bruce Avon led the Marlins at Dodger Stadium. The club's first pinch hit grand slam, part of a 6-3 victory at Chavez Ravine back in 1999. Contreras smothers that one. The ball and 2 strikes. The Marlins scoring their first run against Kyle Hendricks here at Wrigley Field. Coming into this ball game, terrific numbers overall for Hendricks against the Marlins. 2 wins and a 1.35 ERA in 33 1/3 innings pitched.
You don't think Kyle Hendricks trusts his changeup? That is 5 consecutive. It certainly tells you it's more about movement and drop at home plate than it is about a decrease in velocity playing off the sinker. He's got his changeup changing lanes.
Grounded to first. Caratini will step on the bag, and the inning is over. Marlins get 1, but trail it by 6. Todd Hollinsworth. Again, Harlan Garcia's night is done, so Tyler Cloyd is out to work for the Miami Marlins. Haven't seen much of him recently. Last time he pitched, in fact, was the 16th of April. So pitching in just his 3rd game. Now he was away from the club for a few days. Congratulations go out to the Cloyd family. He was on the paternity list, so a new addition to the Cloyd household. But again, now he's back on the mound for the first time in a while, and you figure he's out there to get a little bit of work in this his 4th big league season.
Yeah, fastball, cutter, curveball change. It's the arsenal for Tyler Cloyd. Hopefully there is no rust. He's keeping himself ready. Certainly excited for the opportunity. Packed house here at Wrigley Field.
So Cloyd will face Bryant Baez and Contreras. A hot shot, fair ball inside the line. That'll be extra bases for Bryant. Tracked down there by Dietrich. And a leadoff double. Javier Baez in his last at bat with a home run, and he has been the man as of late for a Chicago Cubs club that has been scuffling recently. He's just 1 for 15 in the series in Miami at the start of the year.
Yeah, what I'll add to that is Javi Baez is one of the best base runners I've ever seen. His instincts are now some of the best in the game. You see the good numbers. Started out 1 for 15 at Marlins Park, and he has been on a tear just about ever since. Home runs, RBIs, and lots of flavor with his game.
And grounded sharply to short. Rojas to first. And there is 1 away. Let's go downstairs, check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. Wilson Contreras comes up. He had planned to get married a couple of times actually in April. The first time was on an off day, and because of a postponement, the Cubs had to play, so they had to postponed that. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't want to tell anybody until he got married. And then the next time, Cubs had another postponement. They had 5 in the month of April. And finally, on Thursday, those April showers gave way to May flowers, and he got married. Reporters told Joe Madden about it on Friday. He was unaware of that, and Joe said, I owe him a gift. Wilson Contreras married his longtime girlfriend, Andrea, this past Thursday.
Craig, thanks. Boy, that is certainly an understanding partner. My goodness. Now, we'll get married tomorrow. I mean, hang on. I got a ball game. Contreras lines one out to Dietrich for out number 2. But again, that's life in baseball, I guess, somehow, some way, right? A little, maybe.
That's a good point. I don't know. You know, usually, you know, it's funny because when you were talking about Contreras getting married, I'm thinking Bryce Harper and this big grand,
right,
like this past winter
extravaganza.
Yeah, a little bit different, I suppose, for Contreras, right? Is that what I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
It's picking off day.
Well, 3 pitches and contact on all 3 in this inning against Tyler Cloyd. The double, the ground ball, the line drive to left, and now Victor Caratini, who had a single back in the 2nd inning. That one gets away from Real Muto, and on to third goes Bryant.
Cloyd remains 1 pitch away from getting out what was a promising run scoring opportunity for the Chicago Cubs team. He can retire Caratini.
Caratini was the Cubs minor league player of the year last year. Made the opening day roster for the club. Also their number 4 prospect, according to Baseball America, coming into 2018. 65th overall pick by the Atlanta Braves in the 2nd round in 2013. And he'll see a 3-0 pitch from Cloyd, which catches the outside corner, 3-1. No stranger to Miami, by the way, as he played in the, or at least was named to the roster. So maybe a bit of a stranger after all, but named to the roster for the Futures game last year. Didn't play because he got called up to the Cubs to make his big league debut. He draws the walk here, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs.
Well, that'll bring up Addison Russell, a strikeout victim his first time up. Walked in at bat number 2. Preceded the Happ home run in the 4th inning.
An all-star a couple of years ago for Addison Russell back in 2016.
Certainly plays like an all-star defensively on a daily basis, although over the last couple of seasons his bat has tapered off a bit. Drove in nearly 100 runs a couple of seasons ago. Still looking for his first home run on the season. We talk about this an awful lot. The Marlins starting pitching has been outstanding. The Marlins staff on a whole outstanding during their 4 consecutive series winning streak. One thing you're going to take from tonight's ball game might be a little bit different than when they saw the Cubs at Marlins Park. It's how this park plays, where the mistakes were made in tonight's ball game. I think to some of the big damage tonight, pitches up in the zone. Chris Bryant's double, his home run, both pitches up. Javi Baez up in the zone, Happ up in the zone.
A ball and 2 strikes to Russell with runners on the corners. Fly ball right field line, and that will reach the seat. Still 1-2. Not making any excuses for the Cubs because they didn't seem to be tired today. They hit 3 home runs after all. But you just wonder if they came into this ball game not having taken batting practice. Joe Madden does all kinds of silly things to keep his team loose. Who knows? He might have had the clubhouse locked until 6 as Russell out to right field. Anderson not able to track this one down. He'll play it off the wall. 1 run will score. Here comes the second. And it's a 2 RBI double. Cubbies have a 9-1 lead.
Now throughout this at bat, Addison Russell really trying to go the other way, stay inside the baseball. Well, foul balls to the right side. It's a pitch he can handle. He's able to drive it off the right field wall. Take another look. Not a terrible pitch, thigh high, little tailing action back more towards the middle of the plate. Anderson had a pretty good read, carried over his head rather quickly.
Swing from Ian Happ, and he comes up empty there, and it's 0-1. Happ with a 2-run home run back in the 4th inning. Cubs have scored in every inning but the 2nd tonight. And 0-2 to Happ. Happ came into this ball game 3 for 21 in his last 9 games. But he adds another home run to it. Russell, meanwhile, only had 2 RBIs in his last 23 games entering tonight. He just drove in 2 with that double to right center field. A ball and 2 strikes now to the Cubs left fielder. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, but another couple of runs in the inning for the Cubs. 9-1. We'll check in with the studio after the break. Thank you so much, Jessica. 9-1 here in the top of the 6th inning. Well, maybe it's just baseball tonight, because it seems like there have been home runs hit just about everywhere, flying out of yards left and right on what is a light schedule of games on this Monday night around Major League Baseball. Just 7 on the slate. including the one here where it's 9-1 Cubs. Kyle Hendricks back out for the 6th inning. He has surrendered just 3 hits to the Marlins. As the top of the lineup will face him here in the 6th. Realmuto, Prado, and Castro. Again, the Cubs have scored in every inning but the 2nd tonight. Plenty of run support for Kyle Hendricks, who delivers a called strike to Realmuto, who has flown out twice tonight. And JT had that 12-game hit streak, a career best 12-game hit streak snapped on Saturday. And a couple of hits in yesterday's ball game. And he has been nothing but hot since coming off the disabled list a few weeks ago for these Miami Marlins. One and two. And if you're looking at OPS among catchers, he is right at the top of the list in Major League Baseball. Guys with at least 60 plate appearances coming into this one at 963 on base plus slugging. So something that we certainly already knew, that he is one of the best offensive catchers in Major League Baseball. And certainly showing it with the numbers as well in his couple of weeks back. Also fared very well on the road, both in his career and this season. It's in 7 of his last 8 games away from Marlins Park. A roller too short. Strong arm, and look at the speed from Realmuto. Not really much that Russell could have done. As he's got the strong arm, you saw it, but Realmuto that quick to beat it out, an infield single.
JT quite often gets out of the box and is at maximum speed within about 2 steps. And he really does here. Sometimes when you catch a ball off the end of the bat, you get reach and you get that cheat first step. And I think JT picked it up there as the ground ball to the left side is, in my opinion, beat out. Yeah, it is. Addison Russell did nothing wrong. That's where a righty gets a little bit better advantage than the lefty. Every time I got fooled on that pitch and like the 400 ground balls I hit to the right side of the infield, I never beat it out from the second base side.
Ball, no strikes to Martin Prado, who is 0 for 2. Lined out to Ben Zobrist in the 1st inning, grounded out in the 4th, and now flies out to center field. Almora Jr. for out number 1. Let's check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, no doubt word has gotten around, especially for the teams that see JT a lot in the NL East. But all you have to do is look at the stats, and he's the fastest catcher. He's faster than the average Major League player by a good 2.5 seconds. And when you look at his numbers, 28.3, he's in the top 17% of all the runners in the game. That's amazing. Catcher's #1 by far. And the average major leaguer, 27 feet per second. So that's that speed. Sometimes it still catches other teams that don't see him by surprise. You hear he's fast, but then you see it and you go, man, he is fast.
Well, JT, Craig's a multi-sport athlete. I think back to his days in Oklahoma, running up and down the football field. I believe he won a state championship as an option quarterback. And in the winning touchdown on the last play of the game.
Good speed for a catcher? No. Good speed for anybody. JT Realmuto.
You probably throw him out in center field. And you're saying, wait, what'd you just say? Yeah, I bet you probably could. He's that good an athlete.
Grounded to short. And on to first. A double play. Castro grounds out to end the 6th. Cubbies lead this one on a Monday night at Wrigley Field. Hollinsworth. Marlins trail this one 9-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. When you combine the most provocative man in sports with the most interesting man in sports, you get opinion that cuts through the hype. Catch Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock, weekdays at 5 Eastern only on FS1. Nice night in the Windy City. A little crisp, a little cool, but nice nonetheless. Some short sleeves around here. Got the heat on in the booth to keep us nice and comfortable as Tyler Cloyd delivers a called strike to Kyle Hendricks. 9-1-2 due up for the Cubs, who have connected on 3 home runs tonight. Chris Bryant, a 2-run shot. Javier Baez, a 3-run homer. And Ian Happ, a 2-run home run. As Brian Holiday is in behind the plate to give JT Realmuto the rest of the night off. The 0-2 pitch just misses low and away. A ball and 2 strikes. Off the edge, 2-2. Called strike 3. And now a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
Second inning of work for Tyler Cloyd. He came in after 4 innings of work for Harlan Garcia. 6 hits and 7 earned runs for Garcia tonight. By far the roughest outing of his short career, but prior to this had been nothing short of spectacular. Entered tonight's ball game with the lowest ERA in baseball, and even with the hiccup tonight, the ERA sits at 2.68 through 5 starts. So the next 4 days for him and Juan Nieves and the coaching staff. What do you think they're going to be looking to improve on from what he was doing?
Get the ball
tonight?
down. Simple as that. He made mistakes at the top of the zone tonight, and that's just an attention to details. I believe it was mechanical. He did lose the. Sometimes you see him, he almost looks like he loses the grip on his changeup. A couple of times it'll sail up and away. But those aren't bad misses. They're just kind of waste pitches. The point I'm making is merely that in the top of the zone tonight, he made some mistakes. You go all the way back to that first inning. Like, those are mistakes you don't want to make. You can't miss low and in and drift and have it drag back out over the middle of the plate like he did, and like a team against the team like the Cubs.
Well, now for Cloyd, a guy who hasn't pitched since mid-April. You figure he's nice and rested. Hopefully should give the team a little bit of length tonight. Maybe give some of the other arms a bit of a rest, and try to bounce back tomorrow's ball game if they can't get back into this one, and still try to take the last 2 games and keep what's been rolling along. They've won 4 straight series, and no matter how this one plays out tonight, they'll still have that opportunity to keep it moving in the right direction against the Chicago Cubs before heading back home for the Atlanta Braves, whom they currently trail in the National League East at the start of play by 6 games. 3-2 to Almora. Fouls it away. Payoff pitch is outside for ball 4.
And this season, the Marlins are collaborating with local lifestyle brand Life for an exclusive t-shirt collection. During select games, you'll be able to get a Marlins-inspired Life brand t-shirt with a special bundled ticket to the game. Games and dates, and to purchase your collection of 4, visit marlins.com/offer.
Ben Zobrist. Zobrist has reached twice tonight, scored in the first after walking, in the third after a base hit. Fouls it straight back, 0-2. Came around on both the Bryant and Baez home run tonight.
For Cloyd and for the Marlins at this stage of the ball game, it's about getting outs and limiting damage. Excuse me, the Cubs won't be running much. They don't run much anyway. Only 6 stolen bases on the season. The idea is to get outs and take your at-bats and see if you can't build something back up and chip at that 8-run deficit.
You know, you mentioned the unwritten rules. I think it was yesterday. What is it? 6 runs in the 6th and no running anymore? That's the unwritten rule, right? Something like it. As Zobrist pops this one up, shallow right for Castro. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's the specifics, but the idea is that if you have a large lead at the in the 6th inning, that you generally stop running. And I mean, without wandering down this path too far, I mean, that is the interpretation of that is so different from so many different people. I mean, I kind of grew up in the camp where if you're going to run, that's fine. Just so you know, we'll run when we're in the same position. I mean, I guess I've always maintained that. I'm not a big believer in stopping the game or playing the game differently than you would in the first inning. I love to see aggressive baseball, but I understand it. The idea is that you don't want to disrespect the other team. You're beating them handily. But I've always been like, well, yeah, but the game doesn't stop. You're still playing. We're still pitching. We're still hitting. We're still doing everything else. Generally speaking, it is as you said, an unwritten rule. And I'll tell you right now, if Almora were to take off for second base, it would get the attention of every man in the Marlins dugout, and I think that there would be a discussion to follow between you and I as well. It's just the way it works.
Well, my favorite is when there's a sizable lead late in the ball game and a defense shifts and then the offense bunts and then the defense gets mad deep in the hole, and a nice job by Castro to keep that ball from going down the right field line, but he was off the bag. Well, and it's a hit for Bryant.
Paul, you know and I know that you don't get to see the almosts, end up in the highlight reels late in the season. Like some of the greatest defensive plays you've ever seen. Look at this throw. I mean, are you kidding me? And I'm telling you, if that throw's online, he gets him. Almora was hustling all the way. Took off, and he's a good base runner. Rojas, he surprises us every night. Almost made a spectacular play. Great effort.
Marlins were thinking about that. It was a lot closer in slow motion than it looked at normal speed. But Castro didn't have his toe on the bag, so the inning does continue for Javier Baez, who lines a shot down the left field line, foul. One more look at just how close this was. Look at that. You cannot lay out any more than that. That is extremely close.
Tremendous plays on both ends. Great effort by Starlin Castro as well. Good to see in a game where you're down 8 runs. Still playing hard.
And 0-2 to Baez. Oh, and 2 misses outside.
Baez, a 3-run home run, his second at bat tonight. Many Cubs fans realizing that it looks like this may be the year for Javi Baez, the year he reaches his full potential. Super prospect coming through the organization. Lots of power. Wondering if he was going to put it together offensively. To a tremendous start, 2018.
Somehow got the bat on that one. A fly ball out to Dietrich in left. We're through 6 at Wrigley. Cubs in front. P.J. Conlon making his major league debut for the Mets against the Reds tonight. First Irish-born player to reach the major leagues in more than 70 years. Not only does he start the game, then he gets a base hit. How about this? And some families there too. I mean, this is perfect.
Good to see. Well, the Mets' 13th round pick of the 2015 draft. Getting all the way to the big leagues and having a big night.
Absolutely. All part of a 7-6 Mets win. Here it is a 9-1 Cubs lead as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Justin Bour, Brian Anderson, Derek Dietrich. That one is off the edge. Bour 0 for 2 tonight. Lined out hard to start the 2nd inning to Ben Zobrist, who's been peppered with action tonight.
The next thing you know, mission accomplished. Look at Hendricks sitting at 77 pitches, now working into the 7th inning. There might have been a series advantage, I'll call it. Ideally, the Marlins would have loved to knock Hendricks out early and force the Cubs bullpen to operate tonight under some stressful circumstances. That's not going to be the case. They came in tired and weary after a long series in St. Louis.
Grounded into shallow right field. Baez there to make the play, and Bour is retired for the first out here in the 7th inning. So and now Brian Anderson, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Time for Lowe's whole team together, as the Marlins have been hit by a pitch 16 times. That's 2nd in the National League. Brian Anderson is 1 back of Derek Dietrich, who has 5, just continuing to add to his club record. Now the 0-1 line. That one's fair inside the line. Should be extra bases for Anderson as it gets hung up in the ivy. Dug out by Happ, and a 1-out double for Brian Anderson here in the 7th.
Well, Anderson's had a very nice night with the bat. It's his first hit, a ringing double down the 3rd base line. No doubt, you see the dive by Bryant. No shot as it makes its way into the deep corners here at Wrigley Field. His first at bat, lined out, deep fly ball to the warning track. Bat number 2, and now a double.
And now Baez is tended to, and he's walking off the field. In last night's ball game, he had made that terrific play, hit the home run in the top of the 14th. Then in the bottom of the 14th inning, tried to make a terrific play deep in the hole. The ball sailed wide. The game obviously continued before the Cubs walked it off. And when he made that play last night, he kind of winced and he tweaked his back a little bit. Stayed in the game. Obviously, it was only another few minutes. So not exactly sure when tonight it was aggravated, re-aggravated, if that's even the issue. But I'm sure that we will keep you up to date as to why Baez is out of the game, but Tommy La Stella is going to come out and take over at 2nd base for Javier Baez. So here's Derek Dietrich. Doubled and scored back in the 5th. Hendricks is through 6 1/3 right now. He went 7 2/3 in his last start. That was the longest outing by a Cubs pitcher this season. As Dietrich lifts one out to right field. Zobrist. And there are 2 away. All right, so let's go back to Javier Baez, try to figure out This was right before the home run. Big swing. Grimacing a little bit, stretching things out. Says he's okay. Again, who knows exactly what it is, but
well, the way he bent, was kind of bending over there. Maybe it was something in his lower back.
Well, again, if we get any word from the Cubs folks, we'll pass that along as Cameron Maben fouls one out of play. 0-1.
I hate to speak from experience or try to guess at what Baez has got, but every morning when I get up, that's what my face looks like when I get out of bed.
Well, you should be hitting more home runs then.
Well, that's not a possibility anymore.
No. Okay, fair enough. Hey, you were walking me through that whole stretch regimen you've got in the morning.
That's right.
It takes you, what, a half an hour or
At least.
something to kind of limber up?
Stretch back out. I'm telling you. I start out every day at like 6'3", and I'm down to 6'2" by the time the day ends. Start to get old, man. Gravity gets the best of you.
That's why it's nice to be young and out of shape like me. Everything's soft.
the bar's lower.
Very much.
2 desserts on the plane last night.
Well, you handed me one. I wasn't going to not eat it. It's a 45-minute flight. I've got to have my provisions while we're in the air. My goodness. Saw the ratio there for Hendricks. He has been a strike thrower tonight. Keeping the Marlins off balance. 1 run on 5 hits for Miami. And a 2-2 on the way to Maben. 3-2. Crowd gets into it on 3-2 as Maben lines one into left field. Anderson around third. He'll score. Cut off nicely in left field by Happ. Here's the throw to second and in time. Well, Happ went to his knee to cut that ball off. Got up quick, threw a strike to second base. Maben tried to stretch it into a double with his terrific speed, but a perfect play on the Cubs' defensive side of things. And a run comes in to score, but that is going to do it for the Marlins here in the 7th. 9-2 after 6.5. Three-game series between the Marlins and the Cubs. A defensive change for Miami. Starlin Castro's night is done. Yadiel Rivera takes over at second base. Is the only change defensively for Miami as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Wilson Contreras, Victor Caratini, and Addison Russell due up for the Cubbies against Tyler Cloyd in his 3rd inning of work. Contreras 0 for 3 tonight, pops this one up behind home plate. And out of play, 1-1. And now 1-2. Last year was Contreras' first full season with the Cubs, and he ranked 2nd among National League catchers with 21 home runs, 74 RBIs, and 45 walks. Only the 2nd Cubs catcher in the last 20 seasons to reach 20 home runs as he flies this one out to right field. And Anderson up against the wall, and that will reach the seats. Still 1-2. Well, Brian Anderson having to navigate with that wall out there in right field. Of course, fairly new to right field, at least in terms of the big league level. Played there a little bit in college, a little bit of left, but then settled into the infield. But now, in order to keep his bat in the lineup with the return of Martin Prado, he's been asked to play a little bit more right field as Contreras sends one out to left. In comes Dietrich to slide and make the catch. One away. So now that we're, I guess you can call it 2 weeks or so into this transition of him playing out there every day, and this particular right field over these couple of days, what can he expect?
I was able to talk to him a little bit during batting practice, just the challenges of playing both left and right field here at Wrigley Field. This is one of the toughest parks in baseball, not because of the dimensions so much, but you do see how they are down the line. This is a little different, right? I mean, it's longer to the corners than it is behind you. I mean, think about that. You've got that little swell. You've got the corners at 353 and 355. But then the wall, you see right behind Anderson, the wall jets out. And then it kind of, heads on its way all the way out to center field. So you've got to keep that in mind. And then you have to factor in the crowd. And then you have to factor in the ever-changing weather here, which many games, and we may still see this in the series over the next 3 days, the weather change during mid-game. Sometimes the flags will blow in, they'll blow back out again. And then the other thing you have to consider is this, that it's one of your lower stadiums. It's not so tall. I mean, that you've got one upper deck. It's not way up. You get factors where the wind affects the baseball. First thing I told Brian Anderson today, don't give up on anything. If you think it's 3 rows deep, that means you better get over there because there's a good chance that ball may end up on the field. And because the seats go all the way out to the foul lines, it may end up fair. So you have to chase everything down into those seats just to make sure. I told him, I said, the best piece of advice I can give you is this. Be ready for everything on every pitch. Don't take a pitch off.
What do you mean by the crowd?
Well, the crowd noise, it's around you. It's everywhere you go. I mean, some of the older ballparks are, I mean, you get this feeling. You stand out here at Wrigley Field as an outfielder, as a visiting player, and you're going to know you're in Chicago, number one, and you're going to hear it from the fans. It doesn't, they're not out there like, hey, Brian Anderson, you're a great player. Nice catch. No, I mean, they're out there letting you have it. It's part of, getting to be out in the bleachers. You realize as an outfielder, there's not a whole lot of places where you play where you've got people almost all the way around you. So everywhere you run as a corner outfielder here at Wrigley, you got somebody yelling something at you.
A base hit for Caratini, his 2nd of the night. He's been on base 3 times tonight for Chicago. Just thinking of the toughest right fields to play. San Francisco, probably, right? Well, Fenway and here?
Well, they're good. They're good examples. I mean, I'd have to think about it for a few seconds. But, I mean, even San Francisco is not a overwhelming as far as size and covering of ground, where here it's a little bit different, like because you have these, you know, the long corners. You've got to run into the corner different than where you play anywhere else. I mean, it's so, because you have so many things you have to consider. Like in San Francisco, you have that short wall and right. It's only 309 feet. It's a high wall. You're right. There's a lot of things you got to play off of, but it's not testing your athleticism. In fact, you'll see a lot of teams come in. They'll tuck sometimes their worst defender in right field because he doesn't have to move so much. Fenway, yes, you have a ton of ground that you have to cover in Fenway, and I always found that it was very, very challenging. Like you almost needed a second center fielder. I haven't even mentioned the basket, by the way, tonight that is on the field of play.
That's right, the overhang.
Right, so you'll run out that way, and there's you're surrendering about 5 feet as that basket jets out, you know, just a little bit onto the field of play.
Let's check in with Craig.
Yeah, what about the brick? And also, there's really no room. I mean, when you get down the line there, you've got the wall
right
there. I mean, and you're running full speed, and all of a sudden, how do you do that?
You can't give
along the wall.
You can't give a crash course on playing at Wrigley Field. I learned, and I learned a lot because I came here as a player. But as a visiting player, you try to learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can. You're right. Accelerating to the wall. You'll learn most corner outfielders know how to use their legs and go down into a slide when you play here, because you do run out of fair territory. I mean, you run right into the wall.
Did you ever hit the wall here?
Oh, many times. Many times.
Through the left side, a base hit for Addison Russell. Back-to-back knocks for the Cubs with one out here in the 7th.
In fact, it was a bit of my calling card here, is that I would recklessly run into things here all the time. Now, sometimes I'd make the catch, and other times I wouldn't. In fact, there's one catch that I actually made in Anaheim that was probably the most remembered one, where I just face first ran into the wall and hit the wall so hard it just spun me back and put me on the ground.
I mean, what is that? 4 inches, for goodness sakes, down? There's no room.
That's right.
That's probably about it. There's probably about 4 inches of foul territory.
Well, not really, when you consider that if the ball was coming down, you know, really it's either it hits the line and it stays there, because it would hit the wall, because the ball is, you know, that size.
Ball and no strikes to Ian Happ, who's got a home run in this ball game. So I'm just trying to think, and the reason why I mentioned this ballpark and Fenway and San Francisco, because the Marlins will play at all 3 of those ballparks. Obviously, they're here tonight, and they always play the Giants. But this year, they're also going to Fenway Park in August. So Brian Anderson might have a taste of the toughest right fields.
Absolutely.
In baseball.
Absolutely. It's a really good question, and it is a challenge for an outfielder. For me, I mean, I was raised an outfielder, so I had that working for me.
And he made an amazing catch yesterday. An unbelievable catch on a sinking line drive, a low line drive in Cincinnati. He came to his left, dove and made the catch. And is slowly but surely getting more comfortable with right field. This one out to left. And that one is gone. Another home run for Ian Happ. A 3-run homer, and it's 12-2 Cubs.
Fifth home run of the season for Ian Happ. 3 against the Marlins.
Strike on the outside corner to Kyle Hendricks. Four home runs tonight for the Chicago Cubs. A team that came in having lost 5 in a row. They put 12 runs on the board, a team that had scored 27 in their last 11 games. Hendricks pops this one up behind home plate. Holliday makes the play. And there are 2 down. Floyd has thrown 70 pitches out of the bullpen. First time that he has pitched again since April 16th. So it's been a little less than a month for Cloyd, but results aside, giving the team a little bit of length tonight to make sure that the usual late inning relievers are all fresh for tomorrow and beyond, as they try to pick up the second, perhaps even third game of this series, keep it rolling as best they can. We have seen the resolve of this baseball team, however, in 2018. They've taken their lumps at times. There's no getting away from that, but we have also seen them bounce back nicely the next day. How that goes tomorrow, we'll all find out together as Rojas puts that one away for out number 3. We are through 7 at Wrigley. 3 more in for Chicago. We're off to the 8th. Jessica, thanks so much. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth back up here inside the broadcast booth with you. A 12-2 lead for the Chicago Cubs as Kyle Hendricks is back out to work in the 8th. Miguel Rojas. And looks like Tyler Cloyd still in this ball game out there in the on-deck circle. And then the top of the order will be Brian Holliday in the spot of JT Realmuto. As Rojas grounds one sharply to second base. That's La Stella. And there's one out.
Back to the beginning of the ball game, the Marlins were putting together some quality at bats when this game started. First 5 outs recorded by Kyle Hendricks tonight were in the air. Since he has settled in, he's given up a few hits. For the most part, the ball on the ground.
The 0-1 to Tyler Cloyd is low. The ball and a strike. Cloyd 3 hits in his major league career. His last hit came in 2013 with the Philadelphia Phillies. But keep in mind, prior to 2018, that was the last time he was in the major leagues. Nope, I made that up. He was in the big leagues last year. Last time he got an at bat. Sound 13. Called out on strikes, and they're 2 away. Well, 7 2/3 in back-to-back outings for Kyle Hendricks. He's at 96 pitches. Took him 104 pitches to get through 7 2/3 against the Colorado Rockies his last time out on May 1st. This time he's at 96. It's been right around where he's been at in all of his starts. Now this his 7th. 104 last time. 94, 95, 91, 84, and 88 in his first start of the season against the Marlins. Ground ball backhanded by Bryant. And Holiday is retired. Hendricks goes 8 tonight. The longest outing by a Cubs starter all year. To the bottom of the 8th. Back here in Chicago, Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Craig Minervini down on the field. It's a 12-2 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the last of the 8th inning. Opener of a 3-game set to wrap up the season series against the Chicago Cubs. Tyler Cloyd back out to work here in the 8th. A called strike to Ben Zobrist. Chris Bryant and Javier Baez. Well, Baez's spot. He has since left the game, so it'll be Tommy La Stella. As Zobrist lines one out to right center field. A long run for Anderson. And he's going to play this one off the wall. Another hit for Zobrist. He's been on base 3 times tonight.
2 hits and a walk. Scored a couple runs. He's ignited the Cubs tonight. Cut fastball there. Drops the barrel down into the zone and drives it off the right field wall. Right center field wall. See the ivy just now starting to come in at the top.
Yeah, it's been a long winter here, hasn't it?
It certainly is. It's the temperature even now. It's still chilly nights.
Chris Bryant homered back in the 1st inning, a 2-run homer. Doubled and scored in the 5th. Had a single in the 6th inning. Home run came off of Harlan Garcia, who started this ball game. 4 innings, 6 hits, 7 earned, a couple of walks, 3 strikeouts. Kris Bryant a triple away from the cycle. Right side, Board gives chase, and that one's going to go off the top of the dugout. 0-2. No Cubs cycle since 1993, huh? That's seems like a while. And the 0-2 to Bryant in the dirt, blocked by Holiday, keeps it in front of him, and no advance for Zobrist. Well, Garcia threw 83 pitches tonight. Cloyd has already thrown 78.
Is exactly what they're looking for from Cloyd. Need length. Obviously trying to protect the bullpen. 12-2 ball game. They need some innings from him.
Again popped up right side, but this one a souvenir. Bouncing all over the place. Oh, we got beverages flying. We got people going all over the place. Oh boy. Oh man, all over you. Take a look at this here. And then there goes the beverage. No, there she goes down. Man alive.
It was all brought on by her own beer.
There's a lot going on there.
Almost looked like there was a stumble and a fall. I kept thinking that's her hand and her beer.
Well, at least she was able to laugh it off. Two balls and 2 strikes to Kris Bryant. One of the more decorated young players in Major League Baseball, a Rookie of the Year in 2015, an MVP the following year. We got 29 of 30 votes. He's been an All-Star twice, of course, a World Series champion for the Cubs.
Well, we told you about the game last night in St. Louis between the Cardinals and the Cubs. St. Louis struggling tonight. Down 5-0 at home, top 8, the Minnesota Twins.
And Bryant walks. So 2 on and nobody out here in the 8th. A double for Zobrist, a walk for Bryant, and the walk was the 3rd issued.
Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
There's Tommy La Stella down to the count 0-1. He took over for Javier Baez, who left this ball game with an apparent back injury. Wave going around Wrigley Field. How about that? La Stella lines a base hit into right center field. That's going to score Zobrist. And it's 1st and 3rd for the Cubs.
So far this season, when the Cubs win, they win by a lot. Offense is live tonight. They are pouring it on. Estella lines it into center field. Another tally for the Chicago Cubs.
And Don Mattingly is going to come out, and that's going to do it for Tyler Cloyd. He gave this team 3+ innings of work tonight after a 4-inning start for Harlan Garcia. It's time for the Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here at Wrigley Field. Cubs in control. Florida Lottery. Don't miss your chance to play for the massive Powerball jackpot. Pick your lucky numbers and get your Powerball ticket at any Florida Lottery retailer. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Utos Miami, there you have it. The hashtag that's been going around that. And just getting started. A Marlins fan here in attendance as Junichi Tazawa takes over. Pitching in his 17th game this season for the Miami Marlins. Pitched in yesterday's ball game in the 9th inning of that rain-delayed win against the Cincinnati Reds.
Recorded an out. Gave up a couple hits, couple earned runs, had a walk as well. So the ERA at 7.80.
Just got word, by the way, Javier Baez left the game with tightness in his right groin. So it wasn't the back issue that we thought it was, which is why, Holly, we don't speculate.
It's all connected.
Okay. Fair enough. Doctor?
Am I lying?
No.
You ever heard that song when you were a kid?
That's right.
Knee bone connected to the
thigh bone?
There you go.
There you go. Look at that. How many bones in the human body?
I have no idea.
206.
Wow.
Contreras is 0 for 3 in this ball game. Lined out a couple of times. He bats here with runners on 1st and 3rd, nobody out in the 8th, and 1 run already home. Contreras through the hole on the left side. That'll score another. As Chris Bryant comes in to make it 14-2 Cubs.
Four consecutive runners have reached to start the 8th inning. Contreras picks up his first hit of the ball game. Not to be denied, everybody else having fun tonight for the Cubs. Contreras says, why not me? Let me join the party.
Contreras, the last starting position player without a hit. Victor Caratini taking a called strike. Caratini got the start tonight. No Anthony Rizzo at first base. Rizzo has not quite been himself yet this year for the Chicago Cubs. That paired with the lefty, perhaps. Certainly not going to manage for Joe Madden. Just wondering. Throw in the late arrival from the Sunday night baseball game last night, coming in from St. Louis. And Rizzo got the day off. Couple of Florida guys right there. Hialeah's Albert Almora Jr., Parkland's Anthony Rizzo. You mentioned when the Cubs win, they win big. This is the third time this year that they have scored 14 or more runs. A big offensive outburst for a club that had been scuffling offensively as of late. 2-2 to Caratini. I think there was something in the water today, to be honest with you. Because I'm looking around baseball. Okay, 3 home runs by Garcia, 1 by Cloyd, so that's 4 in this game. Detroit and Texas, there's a couple of home runs hit in that game. Minnesota, St. Louis, as Caratini's called out on strikes. No home runs in that game. There's 1 home run hit, Houston and Oakland. Washington, San Diego, it's a 1-0 game. That one's in the middle of the second inning. A home run for Trey Turner in that one. The Phillies shut out the Giants 11-0. Phillies hit 4 home runs. The Mets beat the Reds 7-6. The Mets hit 3 home runs. No, the Reds hit 3 home runs. The Mets hit 4 home runs. So there's just something in the water today. It's a crazy Monday. That's all it is. Just chalk it up to that. (1-0) to Addison Russell, who's reached base 3 times tonight. Walked in the 4th, a 2 RBI double in the 5th, and singled and scored in the 7th. Mentioned that Russell was a 2016 All-Star. Youngest player in franchise history elected to start the All-Star game. That was the same year that Chris Bryant won the MVP. I don't think Anthony Rizzo has any gray hairs on his head just yet. Wilson Contreras in his early to mid-20s. A lot of young talent on this club.
So many people in Chicago are excited with the prospects of this organization. Go to spring training every year and you talk about the young core and you believe you got a chance to win. And we've seen the Pirates already this year. Certainly know the Cardinals are out in front. But you look at who the Cubs are and how they're developing themselves. You feel as though, most people do around baseball anyway, that they're going to contend for quite some time. Fairly modest payroll for now. Some of those numbers are going to go up.
Oh yeah, Kyle Schwarber.
Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
You know, if it gets that far. The point being, they've built a pretty good thing here. Couldn't help but think, you know, over the weekend we saw in New York, Gleyber Torres, big walk-off home run for the Yankees. Gleyber was the player that got, you know, made the Aroldis Chapman deal happen, and you go back to 2016. You think how deep this organization was. At the time, you had a Javi Baez and an Addison Russell. You're saying to yourself, all right, well, we've got to get a premier closer to make this happen. And you do it, and you say, all right, well, we'll have to give up our third best shortstop. You know, you're right.
Third best shortstop, who it was before he was called up the top prospect in baseball.
Right. So I didn't only because of age, right? I mean,
right.
It seems like most people are raving about Torres in New York and what he's going to do for the Yankees and the future of the Yankees. But tremendous position for this organization to be in. They've been able to spend money this winter. They let Jake Arrieta go. They brought in a Yu Darvish. So it's a combination of the young and veterans, and with all of that, belief that they can contend each and every year. Talked to most Cubs fans, as I did even early today. Nice job by Tozawa to the top of the zone. Good fastball, 93 miles an hour, his second strikeout. The idea that the Cubs haven't even, they're 3.5 games back in the division, and there's been a buzz about the Pirates getting off to a great start, and the Cardinals look so good this year. But the Cubs in their fan base, as we were talking about the cold weather, they haven't played their best baseball yet. They haven't even come close to it yet. They're 3.5 games back, and I think that's where a lot of this goes. Cubs play their best. Most people believe they are the top dog in this division.
Here's Ian Happ, another first-round pick. As he takes upstairs, he has homered twice tonight, once from each side of the plate. First time a Cub has done that since 2013, Deandro Navarro. And the backswing got a piece of Brian Holiday. Says he's all right. Well, speaking of the Cardinals, there's another look here at the.
Yeah, look at the high fish and the extension all the way around. Yeah, Ian Happ. That's how you get extension right there. You let the top hand go so you can get farther out as he rotates around through. Swings like that often get catchers.
You mentioned the Cardinals. They'll be without Yadier Molina for upwards of 4 weeks after he needed surgery after a foul tip. Two homers, 2 strikeouts tonight for Happ. He pops this one up. Holiday finds it, throws the mask. Will he have room? Yes, he will for out number 3. Couple more runs in the inning for the Cubs to the ninth at Wrigley. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Kubota. For more information or to find a Kubota dealer near you, go to gokubota.com. By Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, Craig Minervini back with you at Wrigley Field. Rough one tonight for the Marlins, down by 12 as we go to the 9th inning. See a new pitcher here in the 9th as they get 8 innings, the Cubs do. From Kyle Hendricks, he walked nobody as per usual. 3 strikeouts, 6 hits, couple of earned runs. And he gives way to the bullpen. As Corey Mazzoni comes in from Evans City, Pennsylvania. He's pitched in now, this is his 15th game. 2017 for the San Diego Padres last time we've seen him. So he will get Martin Prado to lead things off for the Marlins. Yadiel Rivera and Justin Bour to follow. Inside on Prado, 2-0.
Yeah, fastball, slider, splitty from Mazzoni. This is his arsenal. Fastball 92 to 94.
Time now for the Toyota Trend. Chicago Cubs pitching has certainly been the strength for them since 2016, as it absolutely was tonight, with 8 terrific innings from Kyle Hendricks. 3.49 ERA, tops in baseball. A lot to like tonight for Joe Maddon. Again, a short night's sleep getting in, and around 3, 4 in the morning. No batting practice. Looked like they needed much of it tonight, as they had the bats going early and often, scoring in every inning except the 2nd and the 6th.
And the biggest victory may have been the length of Hendricks' start.
Grounded to third. Oh, Bryant. Slick pickup over there at third to get Prado. Nice play at the hot corner.
You are absolutely right. This defense has been a bit porous in the early going this year. Not on this play. Chris Bryant outstanding. Short hop, able to anticipate that high hop. Spin a strong throw across the diamond. It is not the Marlins' night tonight. A few line drives that have been caught. A couple of hard hit balls that have been snared.
And here's Yadiel Rivera. All smiles in the Cubs dugout tonight, as it looks as though they are going to snap a 5-game skid. In the last 2, suffering walk-off losses. Rivera coming in as a defensive replacement earlier in this game will take a ball in the dirt. 1-2. Mazzoni, a 2011 second-round pick of the Mets out of North Carolina State. And he gets Rivera. Marlins down to their last out. We'll bring up Justin Bour. Bour tonight 0 for 3. Hot shot too short. Russell the first, and that's going to do it. A 1-2-3 9th inning. 2-3 ninth for Mazzoni after 8 strong from Kyle Hendricks. As Hendricks in back-to-back starts for the Cubs, 7 2/3 his last time out, 8 tonight. As the Cubs take the opener, snap their 5-game skid. Got much more to come from Wrigley Field. We're back after this.